I'm doing an interview. I have on the line a member of the Shabtai movement, also known as a Sabbatian. Introduce yourself.
All right. To introduce myself, I'm an ex-Chabadnik. I sort of got into Sabbatianism maybe in the past 2 years. I'm still in yeshiva. I'm learning in Eretz Yisrael as we speak. So I really wanted to come on here and just give the actual perspective on Sabbatianism, which is like more in line than I think a lot of people here will suspect with mainstream Orthodox Judaism, as expressed like with the Gedolei Yisrael, and just like like modern day Kabbalah and things like this, and just really speak about like the intellectual heritage Sabbatianism has left on the modern day Jewish world. I mean, I think a lot of people here would be surprised to know that like figures like Ramchal, a lot of more or less like unambiguously positive figures, at least as viewed by like the Haredi community and just Orthodoxy in general, had some sympathies towards Sabbatianism, and I wanted to speak about that.
I think what most people want to know, what you would consider misconceptions or misrepresentation on the Sabbatian movement, like the whole notion of Matir Surim, the idea of marrying Sifrei Torah.
Oh yeah, so Matil Asulim, that's something literal. I mean, like we believe when we make that bracha, we're doing it with the like kavana of saying, hey, we have all of Torah mitzvahs have been abrogated. So that's something literal, yeah. In terms of marrying a sefer Torah, I mean, I don't really know what's the issue with that. I mean, it's obviously a metaphorical thing. I mean, he did it to make a tikkun to how do you say like he did that to make a sort of repair of the spiritual state of the world. When Shabtai Tzvi married the Torah, what he was trying to do was first make himself married to the Torah, so the mitzvahs are tied to him, so he could then go on and divorce it to abrogate these laws. So that it's a symbolism behind that act that we are speaking about when we talk about Shabtai Tzvi marrying the Torah.
Mhm. But in terms of Matir Surim, we typically don't read that as one who allows the forbidden. Can you explain that understanding? And was it created by Shabtai Tzvi himself, or was it an idea brought down by the Arizal or Rabbi Natan of Gaza?
So like Natan of Gaza, I mean, he does speak about this. He gives a source in one of his books directly quoting the Arizal. There's like it's pretty unambiguous from the writings of the Arizal and even just the Zohar Kodesh. All of Torah and mitzvahs will be abrogated. I mean, I don't even have to appeal to like some things that like Christians will bring up, like the new covenant brought up by the prophet like Jeremiah. I could just simply go to rabbinic commentary to have that position be stated. I don't even have to go to the Zohar even. I could go to the Talmud, and the Talmud writes there's an opinion stated. I'm not sure exactly which Maseches it's in, but there's an opinion stated, a literal opinion, that all of the mitzvahs will be abrogated except Purim. Like all of the
All
festivals
the
will be
Hagim,
abrogated
right?
except Purim. Yeah, I misspoke. And then there's a literal opinion stated. I'm not exactly sure which like Maseches it's in, that all the mitzvahs will be abrogated. I can pull that up if you'd like.
I'm curious for the second one. I think most people are familiar with the first one, and also with the notion of like pork being kosher. That in some way aligns almost with the Christian idea that because the Messiah was here, commandments didn't necessarily, at least the ceremonial ones, didn't need to be kept anymore. Is it a similar idea?
No, it's because there was a literal tikkun done where he married the Torah, then divorced the Torah. If it weren't for that action, all of Torah mitzvahs wouldn't have been abrogated.
What's you call him Natan a Navi?
Yeah, not on another. Yeah, but we do have like a source for our opinions within the Talmud itself.
I've also heard, like maybe I understood wrong, Elokistim. Some of them also have this idea, like Deoid Chazer, and
Yeah, yeah,
does it come from this idea as well?
yeah. It comes from this position stated in the Talmud. Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not here to debate. I just want to know sources.
I can pull it up right now. I have a sort of
Yeah,
document
yeah.
that I've made.
I
I mean,
mean,
like we do a lot of like care of, which might surprise you. I mean, we have like actual organizations like active in Crown Heights, and we do sort of like initiate every now and then. So we have like documents that sort of like pass through a lot of these like people in Crown Heights and Flatbush and that entire larger area, where we'll have some polemics done against what you would call like modern day Orthodox Judaism,
hmm.
whether it be like Kabbalistic or Maimonidean. Let me open this up
Yeah.
while we're speaking. Yeah.
What's the name for a Sabbatian amongst or within the movement?
Within the believers, within the community, it's just believers. I mean, like, with just the Hebrew word for believers, like maminim.
You said maminim.
Yeah.
Is Sabbatian considered like an insult?
No, it's not really considered an insult. The Donme have different politics than us, so it might be possible. Like, because we're not really like my movement, we're not really connected with the Donme. They kind of have their own like Hila. They're like a very separate, very insular group. Only like a few people within the movement like have shaykhs, like have how do you say shaykhs in English? Like connection with like yeah connection with like these like Donmen in Turkey. I mean, we don't really call ourselves Sabbatians. I mean, I just call myself that because it's like the most appropriate label. You know what I mean when I call myself a Sabbatian.
So the center of this movement is in Turkey, you said?
No, so there's like two different communities. There's three different communities. There's like the Eretz Yisrael community, there's like the New York community, and then there's the Turkey community. The Turkey community is like on the verge of just completely dying out. Like they're just intermarrying. They don't really care. Even Shabtai Tzvi Alav Shalom, he made a specific prohibition. There's like a couple of, we have like around like 15 commandments that are still there because Shabtai Tzvi himself gave us these commandments. One of them is in particular not to marry among the Turks. So we believe like part of the reason why he hasn't come back is because like his community, you know, like the community that he founded, is sort of falling into this horrible transgression on the name of the Torah and Hashem.
So the belief is that he's coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back, but he through a reincarnation. So he's going to be born again in a new body, and he will look exactly identical to Shabtai Tzvi. So we'll be able to look at his face. We'll be able to see even the most minute detail of his face will align.
How did he die?
There's like the popular history explanation, or do you want my explanation?
Both.
The popular history explanation is he just died of, I think it was a particular illness. I'm forgetting what it was. My explanation is that he killed himself to make a tikkun for like how do you say this in English? Like wasting seed. Like if I said Zera Labatala, I know you have like more of a secular audience. Like I'm more used to like talking about Torah.
Yeah, wasting seed. Yeah. How do you guys view or incorporate the notion of Tzimtzum, the Netzitzot, gathering the sparks? Is that the notion of Matir Sarim?
These are like like Tzimtzum, like in gathering the spark. These are all tied to like Matil Asulim, but they're not exactly the same. Like there's with gathering the sparks, this was something that happened earlier on. This was something that Shabtai Tzvi Alav Shalom himself did. So we don't necessarily have to do it. Now we just live like normal people. Like we don't have to follow Torah mitzvahs. Even all like moral, ethical laws have been abrogated. But in terms of Tzimtzum, I mean, we believe it's literal. I mean, these are the words of our holy master, the Arizal, and his students.
So you would say that the founding father of the Sabbatian movement was the Arizal, then?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I would claim it's Moshe Rabbeinu, and I claim that's Avram Avinu. But I mean, in terms of like what we can historically, like graphically trace, yeah, sure.
So this idea of, again, a Matir Sarim, the idea that you have to do in some way evil or things that are not allowed in order to gather in.
No, this is before. This is not anymore. This is something that was true during the time of Shabtai Tzvi. Now, this itself has been abrogated. So I don't think you quite understand our views on morality. So we believe since all morality has been abrogated, we are basically, I mean, I'm going to describe this in like a Lashon, like a language that they're going to be able to understand, but we are nihilists in the technical sense of the term, but we don't interpret it that way. So we're something closer to moral pluralists. We say that like contradictory moral systems can exist spontaneously, and that we as a society should try to come up with a moral system that suits us since the Torah has been divorced.
And by Torah, that would include ethical and ceremonial laws, right?
Yes. I mean, it's still pious to do so. Like, if you want to be a real tzaddik, if you want to be really pious, you can go out and do it. But
no, but the idea of unaliving other people, let's say, that's still prohibited, no?
I mean, that's prohibited due to Shabtai Tzvi saying so. If Shabtai Tzvi didn't say so, it wouldn't be prohibited.
Where does he say all these things in terms of like the do's and don'ts, like a Sefer Mitzvahs?
Yeah, we do have a Sefer Mitzvahs. It's in the back of a book by Natan of Gaza. I can get you a PDF if you want it.
What's the name of it? If someone wanted to research this, did Shabtai Tzvi ever write anything?
Well, no. He basically had, like Natan of Gaza. We're not really the followers of Shabtai Tzvi. We're more so the followers of Natan of Gaza. So we go by what Natan of Gaza told us to do. So I mean, he wrote this on the authority of what Shabtai Tzvi told him. So it's in like I believe it's at the end of like the Hadrat Kodesh.
Because I asked you before about doing these acts, and I think you said that it's done once a month or something like that. I don't know if you were joking around. The 27th of the month.
Oh yeah, so that is something like that's a bit more esoteric. But yeah, I mean, there are people within our movement that, like, let's say we'll go into the room alone and we'll like say Shem Hashem over and over to just sort of like make a tikkun on the fact that not enough Jews are doing it as we speak.
Where in Eretz Yisrael could you find Sabbatians?
Oh, and like regular mainstream Haredi yeshivas. It's not really like I went when I was in yeshiva. I discovered just on my own that one of my close friends was a Sabbatian. It's not really like in the more like Haredi yeshivas, especially like Chabad and like the like Ashkenazi like Hasidic type of places. Like even the more like machmir, like stringent like types of Hasidus, they'll like they have these weird undercurrent movements within the yeshivas. But in Tzfat, for instance, it's rather popular. Yeah, Tzfat is like the big place for Sabbatianism in Israel. They're actually making a shul, hopefully by next year. We'll see.
They're opening up a shul in Tzfat?
Yeah. I know, it's crazy, no?
Well, I mean, if they're opening up a shul, then they feel some sort of obligation to still daven?
I mean, it's more about the community aspect. I mean, like, you say that like we're more in line right now with like Reform Judaism rather than Orthodox Judaism. Like we're doing it just to like sort of like follow the ways of our ancestors, you know? It's not really like a moral thing.
Within the movement, do you guys view Rabbi Yonasan Eibish as an actual Sabbatian? Because I think he was accused by, was it the Yavits?
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of very great Gedolim in the past were just undercover Sabbatians.
How would an actual Sabbatian differ from like your mainline mainstream Makubal?
I mean, like in terms of practice, we kind of believe the same things. I mean, they say the same things, you know, like once you're at a certain spiritual state, you no longer have to keep all of Torah and mitzvahs properly. So we just believe this. It's not really, I mean, we just believe this applies to everyone instead of just a small group of like Kvalim.
So I heard that the Balatanya was in line or came from a line of teachers that came from the students of Shabtai Tzvi.
Oh yeah, that's true. Same with Ramchal.
Would you say that the Balatanya himself was a secret Sabbatian?
I mean, yeah, I believe so as well. I mean, he even says like some pretty explicit Sabbatian perspectives. And even if you go to like the commentaries of the Tanya, I mean, they say things that only a Sabbatian would say. Like, for instance, that all of these spheres are one in essence and identical to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's like a very mainstream Sabbatian perspective that you just literally see in the commentaries of the Tanya.
What did it for you? You weren't born into this movement.
Yeah, I grew up Chabadnik, yeah.
What convinced you?
Well, it was mainly just like reading Tanya. I mean, besides that, I mean, a lot of these books of Kabbalah are like publicly available on the internet. So I didn't really grow up with internet, but I did get internet like around age 16. I like bought a smartphone, like a really cheap smartphone, and then they have like Safari on it. Like you can just publicly go on there and just read like some of the most important books of Kabbalah. So I would do that in secret, and from doing that, I was able to more or less just see the actual perspective of true Torah Judaism.
So before Shabtai Tzvi passed away, he made a claim that he himself was God.
This is fake. This is not true.
I mean, I read it in Gershon Shalom's book on Kabbalah. So, but I mean, I know Kabbalists don't look him as a...
Look, what he does is he said something similar to... All I'll say is he said something similar to what the Lubavitcher Rebbe said about a certain family member of his. That's all I'll comment on the site.
You mean like an atzmut and a goof?
Yeah, precisely. But this is all Ein Sof. This isn't the Ein Sof, two separate things.
Is there any connection between Elokistim and Sabbatians?
No, not really. We don't really get along because we're very, in terms of like a shkafa, we're very anti-Chabad.
Do you guys like have a Suda during Tisha B'Av?
I mean, it's not like required to do anything, but yeah, I have a Suda. We like kind of like collect together and we all do it, yeah.
And for the sake of community, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
So everything else is the same. Writing a kasuba would be the same by a Sabbatian wedding than a regular Orthodox wedding.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, like for me personally, I'm like deep in. I'm doing the same thing that the Prophet of Shalom he did. I'm doing takia right now. So, I mean, for me, I'm in yeshiva every single day. I'm in the base midrash. I mean, if like let's say in my yeshiva, if any person found out about this, I don't really know what I'd do. Like it's sort of a popular thing for yeshiva bachram to sort of fall into this at some point. Like obviously it's very, very small percentages, but like in terms of our movement in Israel at least, and in like America, it's sort of a stereotype that the average Sabbatian you meet is just some weird yeshiva bachar, you know?
How do you guys view Olam Haba?
It's this world right now.
You don't believe in an afterlife?
No, we don't. We're right now when we follow Shabtai Tzvi Alav Hasham's commandments, we're following the Torah of Olam Haba. This is the Torah of Olam Haba. After Techiyas Mason, there's just going to be, we're just going to live eternally. You know, like we follow the garage shita on Mashiach, basically.
Almost like Chabad. You guys believe the Yemos of Mashiach is right now, then?
Yeah.
How do you view like the Yitzhahora?
Yeshua has like a certain place in our movement as a sort of messianic figure.
Yeshu?
Yeah, of course.
Now, this is the most interesting thing ever. You've incorporated his existence into the religion itself?
Yeah, of course. I mean, have you ever read Toldos Yeshu?
I read parts of it. So which Yeshu is it? Is it Yeshu or is it Yeshua from the New Testament?
Okay, so basically we say, this is going to sound crazy to you, but we basically put the New Testament on the status of Midrash. So everything in there you can take and pick and choose from it, but it's not really that serious. So we believe it was the same guy as the Christians. He was like a Messiah of his generation, like the same way like Cyrus was. You know?
Interesting. So why do you use Toldot Yeshu? Toldot Yeshu, it says negative things about the movement.
It depends which version you're reading. There's two people mentioned in Toldos Yeshu. We have a copy of Toldos Yeshu, which explains that there's two people. There's the one described by the Gemara, and then there's the one that the Christians actually worship and believe in, right? The one described by the Gemara, like the Gemara lived 100 years earlier. It's a completely different guy. And all these negative things, all the negative stuff that you see in most versions of Toldos Yeshu are just about that guy that lived 100 years earlier. But there's a reference to the actual good guy that we like in a lot of them, which is identical to the Jesus of the New Testament.
The bad one was a student of Yeshua ben Prachia.
Yeah.
You push him away with two hands or whatever thing. I mean, who else do you incorporate? Do you incorporate like Muhammad as well?
I mean, yeah, it's Kfira in the Sabbatean movement to reject him as like a Navi to the Ishmaelites.
To reject him as a Navi.
Yes.
So it's very similar to like Druze.
Yeah, we have a lot of commonalities. Like mainly that we believe there's like the revealer, then the concealer. So like Shabtai Tzvi was the revealed one, but the concealed, the greater prophet was Natan of Gaza. There's a lot of similarities we have where, for instance, like Jethro, we say that Jethro is like on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu.
Well, he's the father of the Druze movement.
I know, yeah. There's a lot of overlap between like the Dulzim and us, yeah.
Do you guys believe in Gilgal?
This stuff has been like evaporated by now. Like the reason why Shabtai Tzvi came at the particular time he did was because Gilgal after that was just canceled. Like we already took up the 3 potential lives that you could take up as a Gilgal. So that's why he came at this point. Every person on Israel. What's
the main book, like authoritative book, that someone could look into to find more about this movement?
I mean, just read Natan of Gaza. I mean, his books are. Do you want just like?
They're in Sefaria?
No, they're not on Sefaria. I recommend for like the English-speaking audience here. There's a really good book called The Treatise of Dragons. It's just like a Pirush on the Chumash. I think that's a good way to start. It was translated by Christians, so you have to be a bit skeptical about it. But overall, I think that's the best place to start, just to see like the Sabbatean interpretation. Like he goes through a lot of our beliefs on Kabbalah and things like that. When
Shabtai Tzvi comes back, like what role is Natan of Gaza going to play? I mean, is he going to come back as well?
No, he's going to come back during Techiyas Mason, but he's just going to be like any other Navi.
Is he like Eliyahu because he introduced Mashiach?
Yeah, he is the reincarnation of Eliyahu.
So in terms of like the Satan and the Yetzirah and Shadam, but how does that play into the movement?
I mean, all of this stuff is irrelevant because when Shabtai Tzvi divorced the Torah, we lost the Yetzirah. We're on the same status as Goyim in that regard as Jews now.
Oh wait, like he married the Sefer Torah and then he divorced it?
Yes.
All right.
That's where we get abrogation from. I thought this is common knowledge.
I'm pretty sure that no one's heard about this. by divorcing the Sefer Torah, then we're no longer bound by it, essentially.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So
All right.
basically, as it's written in the Zohar Kodesh, it says that it says that Israel, like Israel, Hashem, and the Torah are one. What does this mean? This is obviously we're not the same thing, but we're tied in this, like it's one in purpose, right? So to divorce one broke that oneness. It created parts between us and the Torah. So this thing has been abrogated. It's distance from one another.
Is there like a tell? We know that Lubavitchers wear kapatas and they'll wear like a Munkacher talish or something. Is there like a tell?
We do have something, but I'm not really permitted to disclose that.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have any more questions. I don't, unless you think I missed something.
I mean, the main thing also is I want to talk to you about Muhammad. That's the main thing I want to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
So it says in, I'm about to say something and it's going to sound like fear to you, but it says in the Quran al-Qadesh that the Jews take, it's like just a nice part I had.
Yeah, but okay.
The Jews take their rabbis as lords instead of Allah, right? So
Yeah.
the question is, what does it mean by this when it says this? So the Quran, it's just one big midrash, right? So, so like the big thing that we take from this is right now, because you're rejecting Shabtai Tzvi and you're rejecting the law of God, at this point, you have all fallen in within the realms of polytheism. And although that isn't an issue, like in terms of like you'll be punished for it, you should think like your father is in heaven, and for you to reject him and to reject the messenger he sent, like all of the messengers, right? Like that fundamentally is a form of polytheism, and I'm hoping the entire Jewish people and Am Yisrael, we make tshuva for this action, like collectively, and we all like come together and accept Shabtai Tzvi Alav Shalom as Melech Mashiach. I just wanted to talk about that.
The Quran, will you also view like a book of Midrashim, or is it on a higher level than the New Testament?
It's the same thing. It's a book of Midrashim.
Is there any other sefer that's not accepted by average Jews? The Book of Mormon or something?
No, we don't accept the Book of Mormon. That would be quite.
I'm curious.
Yeah, but we believe the Quran is at such a high level you actually can like paskin certain things from it, and Shabtai Tzvi actually did that.
What similarities do you see between the Sabbatian movement and modern day, let's say, Messianic Judaism?
I mean, maybe in terms of like the belief that the Messiah already came, but that's obvious. I mean, the main thing would be just being part of the community of believers just based upon faith alone. That's really the main thing, because we reinterpret Judaism to be like from one before it was this thing, whether you kept halacha properly, there were like these nullifiers that were like the Gemara would say like en lechelek la'ilam haba, like before. To be a Jew meant keeping halacha and being rigorous to that. But now what it really means is like accepting Shabtai Tzvi. So we say that like accepting Shabtai Tzvi is the fulfillment of your Judaism. So I guess it's the similar verbiage and phrasing there.
So if a Gentile accepts Shabtai Tzvi as Mashiach, does he automatically get the same status as if a Jewish person does it?
No, actually, we have very interesting things on this. So we believe that Quraysh, you know, like the Arab tribe Quraysh, that
Muhammad was from the tribe of Quraysh.
Yeah, we believe that they're actually Jews. So we actually have a convert that we recently got, that he's on both sides of his family. He's like Banu Hashem, he's Quraysh. We accepted him into the community of believers. But other than that, we don't really do, we just put them in the same status as like Bnei Noach.
That what distinguishes colloquially a Jewish person from a non-Jewish person is Torah observance. But if the Torah has been in some way abolished, then what distinguishes a Gentile believer in Shabtai Tzvi and a Jewish believer?
I mean, the Nefesh Elokit, we believe there's a spiritual difference between Goyim and Jews that's on the level of basic capacity, right? Like of spiritual understanding. So we believe there's something inherent to the character of the Jewish people that makes us just simply at a higher spiritual level. So for instance, for me to have a conversation with a guy, like when we have conversations with, like, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but like, even if you have a conversation with a guy, you can see in their neshama, there's like something lacking. They don't have like this like nefesh elokit. They don't have this godly soul, and we do. So that's really what separates us. And before, when Shabtai Tzvi came, all of these Yidden that like they were Tinuk Shenishba, like captured babies, like they received that Nefesh Elokit back again, because no longer was Shabbos necessary to have it. So it's just the simple thing, whether you have a Nefesh Elokit or you have like a animal soul.
Yeah, so it's basically Kabbalah 101, or at least Hasidus, 101. Chelek Elokah Mimal Mamish is...
Yeah, we believe it's mamish. We believe that the entirety, we as Jews, we are represented. We dwell in the sphere of we dwell in the sphere of like the attribute of crowning. So since we're in the attribute of crowning, we, like every Jew individually in spirit in their neshama, is identical with the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Do you guys still believe in marriage?
Yeah.
Do you believe in polygamy?
Sure, why not? What's the problem?
No, I'm not saying you personally. I mean, as a movement, in like
as a movement, and
or within the
somebody
movement.
wants to do it, we can't exactly give him a din for wanting to do it if the Torah allows it. We're not going to make, in the morality that we're going to create, obviously we're going to base it off the Torah. We're not going to really be insulting things which like our holy sages allow. The thing that you might find the most interesting is that we call Rambam explicitly a kafir for denying God's corporeality. That's also something you might find interesting.
I mean, most Kabbalists will believe that, not that he denied it, but he believed it, but never spoke about it.
No, we believe. Are you familiar with a Rav guy, Rav Moshe Taku, Alav Shalom?
Yeah, he's one of the Tosafists.
Yeah. We sort of take our creed and our philosophy straight from him, like on just like a pure halachic level of what's mandated. So if somebody doesn't affirm the Yad Hashem as an actual hand, or affirm that he's not actually sitting on a throne, is that his hand rests on the throne, they can't be included within this category of like the Kila of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the community of God.
Interesting. All right, man. I appreciate your bravery and your willingness to educate, because this will be the only that I know of interview on social media about this topic.
If anybody wants to communicate with me or has any questions, I'd want to like send my Discord so anyone can get in contact with me. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I'm going to give them. Okay, my name is Waya, Waya, Musa, Musa, Waya, Musa. Hail Lord Metatron. I'll see you, man.